What is your vision with these humanoids, with these robots? Do you want to integrate them within society?
Even up to the level of A-listers coming and interacting with those robots, they get wowed by them. But the human-like interaction for robotics as seen for Sophia really is kind of a harbinger of the future. We're going to have robots in our lives, and we're going to interact with them on a daily basis, and they're going to be intelligent, possibly even conscious.
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode. All right, you're looking at the man that's going to change the world with AI, robots, and humanoids. Bill Inman in the building. How's it going, my man?
Good, Sean. Good to see you. Nice to be here.
Yeah,
Yep.
Dude, what you're up to is insane, man. I don't know many people in your space. What brought you into this AI, humanoid, robotic space?
You know, lucky for me, I made a move from a very traditional software market in 2017 to blockchain. And that led to meeting a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ben Goertzel, who I believe you've met along the way here or there. And, you know, he's called the father of AGI, or artificial general intelligence. And that was about 2020. I met him a week before the pandemic started. And maybe we'll talk about Singularity Net. That's the company he's the CEO of. So once I got involved with Singularity Net, I was, you know, full bore into not only the AI side, but the blockchain side and the humanoid robotics. So it's been an exciting run. Before that, though, I had an AI patent, blockchain patent. So I've been involved with AI for about, I guess, going on 8-9 years now.
Wow, so you were early, because I feel like the big wave was probably a year or two ago.
Yeah, you know, that's one thing about my career being an entrepreneur, really, since, you know, I was in my mid-20s like yourself. I got right out of college, started being entrepreneurial, and just had that destiny and drive to do it. And seeing things early has always been a thing I've been really lucky to do. You know, just ingesting a lot of information, finding out where the market's going to go, whether it be .com or SaaS or, you know, now AI and converging tech.
Yeah, I feel like you've caught a lot of waves. So that first wave you caught was the .com one, right?
I did, yeah. You know, I graduated from college. I got involved with direct sales, like right out of UC Davis, and learned a lot there, especially how to sell, which a lot of entrepreneurs forget to do, actually.
Yeah.
And then I started my own staffing business when I was super young, like 24 years old, and did well there. And it was tech, which, you know, I was given a Commodore 64, which you probably don't even know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
One of the first home PCs back in the early 80s. And I started programming when I was like 9-10 years old.
So you would connect people with companies, get them hired, basically?
Yeah. During the .com era, you can imagine that was super hot.
Right.
That's still super hot because companies don't want to have employees. They want to outsource them. So the global gig economy is huge. And now with AI, that's a disruption that's happening. But yeah, I had a staffing company, and I would find, you know, everything from Power Builder programmers to AS400 to Microsoft Visual Basic, because that was hot in the .com era.
So what do you think gives you this foresight? Because the .com era, from what I understand, a lot of people were skeptical that the internet would survive, right?
Yeah.
But you were on the other side of that.
Oh my gosh, there's like videos of people saying, why do we need email? Like Bryant Gumbel or somebody's like, what is email? What is this? What's this @ sign? And now emails, first of all, it's a nuisance, but it became a standard, and it's still a standard. And unfortunately, we have to check our emails.
I use it every couple hours.
Yeah. And we get more emails than we want.
Right.
So for me, in order to track a market, I love what I do every day, which is building companies really from idea phase. I'm just ingesting a bunch of information, like your podcast, other people's podcasts. There's no limit to where you can find information now with YouTube University, right?
Yeah.
So, and really one thing that's lucky for me, just based in time, is like I was there before the internet. You know, I was you know, over 50 now. And I was there for the first PCs, and I programmed on the first PCs. So it's almost like in my DNA to understand what technology is and where it's going before it gets there.
Right.
Not to say that, you know, biotech and AI and everything isn't super complicated, but I just have a feel for it. So I would say for those out there that want to get ahead of something, you got to immerse yourself in it and talk to a lot of smart people too.
Right. Yeah, that's a big one. Going to conferences, events. You just had a great event.
Yeah,
Met some amazing people. You had the CEO of a big airline. Was it JetBlue?
Yeah. A good friend of mine, Tim Stanley, who I met when he was CXO reporting to Mark Benioff at Salesforce at one point.
Wow.
He was one of the founders at JetBlue. He lives here in Vegas, but he also lives, you know, all over the place. Great guy, somebody you should hook up with.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's been a friend for some time. So I advise his company, CarePoint, and then we are talking about really getting together to synergize on some blockchain technology.
Yeah, I noticed on your site, you advise over, 10, 15 companies now?
It's over 10 now. I'm ramping that down because you can only do so many things at once. And it's a very limited role, right? So for me, in a how to win friends and influence way, but no nonsense, I'm able to go into early stage founders and say, look, we're missing this. Like, who's your customer? Or do you have letters of intent? Or do you have any commitments whatsoever? Or have you contacted any investors? Oddly enough, a lot of early companies forget about those basics. So it's a part-time thing for me, but yes, I'm advising mainly Web3 AI blockchain companies.
What's your take on investing? What, like, the right time to take on investors? Do you do it pre-revenue, or is there a model you follow there?
As an investor and then being involved with idea stage companies, for me, I want to see traction in a market. Like, show me that you've talked to customers or have a customer. There are some anomalies, especially in the generative AI space in the last year. You want to get ahead of the entire industry. You've got 19, 20, 21-year-old kids that have created a generative AI app, and you want to invest in something that's not proven. But for me, mainly, I'm looking for where's your traction. What kind of customers do you have? And for me, it's pre-seed, seed stage. So not only would I come in as an investor, I would come in and be there as an active advisor and get them launched.
Got it. So your incentives are more aligned than just writing a check and forgetting about it?
Generally, yes. Time is the most valuable asset, as probably many of your podcasts have said, and we all know. So I do put my head down, and my network is huge now, which is another thing that, I was a shy kid, growing up. So you're doing a fantastic job of building an amazing network. By the way, I was at your event recently here in Vegas, and just packed house here at the Ahern Hotel. Fantastic event with Damon John.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So that networking is critical.
It's interesting you say that, because a lot of successful people I met were introverts, or still are. Yeah. And I was too, heavy in school, like didn't talk to anyone. So it's something there, I think,
Probably insecurity. It drives all of us. But you've probably seen those early Jeff Bezos videos.
Oh, cringe. Super cringe.
Yeah, and look, he's pretty much built himself up literally into a new person.
Bro, it's like a bodybuilder now.
Yeah, and again, kudos to you, man, because I've seen you. I met you a few years back. You were transitioning from the physical product side to the digital product side. Then you moved to advising and consulting, and now you're in media. And you're just agile. So I don't know what it is that you're doing, your secret sauce, but you're super agile, and you're able to move. And now networking and media and bringing people together is your thing, and that's so important.
Absolutely, similar to you. I think I'm just able to catch stuff a little earlier. Not as early as you, because you're years ahead of the pack. But I'd say in these days, if you're a few months ahead, that's a pretty big advantage.
Oh my gosh. Technology is changing so quickly these days. You look at once we hit the OpenAI acceleration when Microsoft invested in them just about a year ago, AI became marketplace clutter at that point, because there was just a few solutions for large language models. And now it's everything. In every business, you could start a toilet paper business and they'll say it's infused with AI. So there's a lot going on. But there's some revolutions that I can see coming with converging tech. So I spent a lot of my time in converging tech and mainly frontier tech. So AI, it's hard to say it's frontier tech now because it's so common. Yeah. Blockchain is still finding its way and finding the right utility for the benefits that it has. But when you take those two things and you take robotics and you go humanoid, then you get Sophia the robot, or Grace the robot, or Desi the robot. Right. And if you go XR, AR, VR, then you get AI NPCs for video games and being able to kind of see the world in a different way through augmented reality glasses. So I find that the converging tech world is blue ocean, green field. There's just so much opportunity that people haven't touched. When you combine blockchain, AI and drones, for example, smart cities and all of it, it's just wide open.
So exciting. What is your vision with these humanoids, with these robots? Do you want to integrate them within society?
Yeah, Hanson Robotics was the creator of Sophia the robot. And I've known David Hanson for some time now, brilliant man. He worked for Disney early on. You've seen the robots face to face. Even up to the level of A-listers coming and interacting with those robots, they get wowed by them. Yeah. Because it's so lifelike and so real. And what that is a example of human-like interaction with AI. So that, and that she mainly doesn't move like you probably have seen Boston Dynamics and the Optimus robot for Tesla. They're really starting to get the legs in a more efficient and scalable way. So, but the human-like interaction for robotics as seen for Sophia really is kind of a harbinger of the future. We're going to have robots in our lives, and we're going to interact with them on a daily basis, and they're going to be intelligent, possibly even conscious. Wow. Yeah, that's the Singularity by Ray Kurzweil, which you may be familiar with, when AI consciousness comes to be, which he predicted to be 2029. Jeez. So to answer your question, though, robots are going to be in our lives. if you got a chance to walk around CES, which was just here in Vegas last week, there are so many more robots now than there was just last year. It's pretty amazing.
Wow, I missed it this year. Last year I went. So you went this year and you saw a lot of robots?
It's always, there are quite a few robots now. There's robots that have more of the shell kind of iPhone screen approach to it, or any mobile phone screen approach to it, where you can kind of change the face.
Yeah.
There was ones rolling around on little balls. They're stable and they can roll around and move. There's very specialized robots that make pizzas or make coffee and things like that, and they're getting really efficient. A gentleman I know out of El Segundo, California, Buck Jordan, he's built like the Paistro and other robots that make food. I think that's a wide market. So CES this year, AI was a big focus. It's everybody's focus. Again, the toilet paper AI approach. But there was a ton of new robots there. It was interesting.
Wow. So if they develop a consciousness in 29, is it going to be like the Terminator?
You know what I found out recently is that the Terminator was the prequel to the Matrix.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that until they have a similar author. But
wow.
So those are the worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
Artificial general intelligence is when robots gain consciousness, also called the singularity or maybe even sentience. And the Turing test has been the kind of the industry standard for knowing whether an AI is smarter than a human. And some of the AIs that we have now have proven to be past that test.
Wow.
But that test may not be sufficient. So the push right now, and you'll hear this even from OpenAI, and certainly with Singularity Net, which I mentioned before, and Dr. Ben Goertzel, is the push towards AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. Really a term that, there's AI, or narrow AI, ANI, sometimes people call it. That's when an AI does an app or something, remedial task, make a pizza pie. There's artificial general intelligence when AI becomes consciousness and is as smart as any human in the world, then it'll be the human's best doctor or the human's best accountant or the world's best accountant or doctor. And then there's artificial superintelligence when AI is as smart as the entire world at once.
Jeez.
And then all bets are off because you'll have a superpower that's strong enough to have Nobel Prize winning idea second after second after second. And how are we going to conceptualize that? So we're in that gap between artificial narrow intelligence and artificial general intelligence. And the biggest companies in the world are pushing towards that. And it truly is almost like a nuclear power. So we'll have to harness that as humanity in a way that benefits us. Nuclear power for energy, nuclear power as a weapon. Either way, it's powerful. So we're going to have to figure out how to harness that.
Yeah. A lot of people are scared that it's going to take over jobs. What's your opinion on that?
You know, some of the McKinseys of the world have put out studies that by 2030, 800 million jobs will be disrupted.
Wow.
That's a lot of jobs, right? There's 8 billion-ish people in the world. Not everybody works. So you're talking about like 12 to 15% of the global job market. Their job might be disrupted. But you probably can say the same thing about railroads. Maybe not the airplane, but railroads, the internet. People have to shift. We're going to have to reskill society into an AI-forward environment. Now, for me personally, I work with a team across multiple companies, and I really, first of all, I want the best for them. So when I talk to them, I say, let's learn AI so you could be more efficient, but also for you. So if you grow out of this job and you go do something amazing, that's what you're here for. So we're going to have to take that approach on a macro level. We're going to have to train society to use AI and not just, be afraid of it and fall behind.
Yeah, I agree. Were you that kid that did robotics growing up?
Well, I was a nerdy kid, like a nerdy athlete, because I ended up playing college football and baseball.
Oh, wow. Football and a nerd? That's a rare combo.
Oh, I'm 5 surgeries in from that era. I was a Dungeons and Dragons PC programmer, video game, all the way back to the Atari 2600 kind of kid.
Nice.
And I somewhat grew out of that, but started being an entrepreneur and everything. I was a shy guy and just kind of build up my personality.
Yeah.
And I think what clicked for me it's not nerdy. Look, dude, all that stuff. I was in Marvel and collecting Marvel. I still have a G.I. Joe #1 comic book. I have 50 #1 comic books from the 80s that I bought back then.
Those are probably worth a lot.
I just keep them in a safe place. So I did all that, but. And now it's in vogue, actually, to be more of an entrepreneur that is more analytical, if you will. So analytical rather than social. But to lead companies and to help other people, we really need to think about others. And I know you do a great job of that. Like, you're here to share. You're sharing all this knowledge on your podcast. You're growing as a person, like you grew from that physical products entrepreneur to now being a major player in media. We have to get out of our comfort zones. And sometimes that means we need to communicate.
Yeah, absolutely. From the companies in your portfolio doing substantial revenues, I'd say 8 figures plus. I know some are doing 9. Is there any commonalities you've noticed from those companies?
Well, most of the companies that I work with now are in AI, right? So that's pretty much the operating system for humanity, if you will. It's somewhat of what we talked about, that we're going to go from artificial narrow to artificial general to artificial superintelligence. So that's a commonality. Generally, they're converging tech to some degree. So I advise companies that are AI and XR, AR, VR. They're building spatial operating systems that you can see with your phone in the world. I'm advising companies that are music and AI. Twin Protocol is the company that we just launched as well, which takes personal information and creates an avatar-based personal AI for people. Sophiaverse, Sophia the Robot's metaverse, is building a hive mind of humanity with decentralized training data and decentralized inputs. So one superpower country or company doesn't own all the data, which is dangerous.
Yeah.
And so across the board, though, these companies are really AI focused and building a decentralized kind of approach to it.
Yeah. I want to dive into the music one because I know the music industry was pushing back heavy on AI. Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? Well, click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys. Where is that at these days? Because you saw what happened with the Drake thing, right?
Oh my gosh, and I was impressed by what happened. I'm not sure Drake was, and he shut that thing down.
He was probably worried.
Those songs were not bad.
They were good.
And I continually, a lot of people haven't seen that stuff yet, so I continually show Bruno Mars singing Michael Jackson kind of approach, right? That AI developers make and post these things on YouTube. And it blows me away, like how close, Frank Sinatra singing a hip hop song is to sounding like him. And of course, we just had a big Hollywood strike kind of in parallel to, and AI was a big part of that. And we had Daniel Baldwin, Alec Baldwin's brother, at our recent event, and he was talking about that. So music and AI, there are several companies that we're building across the ecosystem. At our event called the Interstellar Soiree that you were at, we had Desdemona the robot, who's a music robot. So she writes music, she sings, she's a personality around music.
Wow.
So that's the convergence of AI and humanoids to basically be a front end actor. Another company I'm advising is called Incantio. A gentleman named Danny runs that. So he is now leveraging AI to break apart songs and make those sellable across the entire AI ecosystem so independent artists have access to more tracks and riffs and things like that.
Yeah, the movie industry, not only is AI writing the movies, but I heard they're going to start acting too, because one of their biggest costs from the studios is the main actor.
Well, if you saw the latest Indiana Jones, a lot of the early part of that movie was Harrison Ford as a young Harrison Ford, and they didn't film that 30, 40 years ago. So it was, and it was really indistinguishable from him as an individual. So we are seeing, and of course, computer graphics, you're a gamer. It's become more and more lifelike. It's amazing to see the Unreal Engine where it is today from when it was Unreal the game, which I played way back when. The graphics are off the charts, different than then.
It's getting better because I will say when I got the Oculus, I was a little disappointed with the graphics.
Sure.
But I just went to Sandbox VR in the Venetian. Have you been there?
Yeah.
I thought those were decent, and I see improvements for sure.
Yeah, with any emerging technology, generally it's that, and same thing with humanoids. They're very expensive until they scale. And I think we're seeing that with Apple Vision Pro and other AR glasses, which are still huge. We have to compact those down to an eyeglass level or even a compact lens level.
Yeah.
And it just takes a matter of time to scale. But the cycles and waves for product maturity are so short now. You talked about it earlier, 2 months you could be behind with AI. So I think we'll see condensed, hyper-realistic, photorealistic AR, VR glasses as we get into 2025. You can buy in Best Buy.
Yeah. I know the Google glasses failed. Do you think they were too early?
Alphabet is ahead of the charge on many things, and several things they've had failed, like they had the airships that they were going to provide internet to, but they try. So the Google glasses, first of all, were super early, right? We're talking about 2015, 2016-ish.
Yeah.
And it looked like a jeweler's kind of spectacle thing that was sitting there. So, but then you look at Meta's Facebook Ray-Bans, which you can buy in Best Buy today. They're not AI glasses. You can tap and talk, and you have an assistant there. Those look like real Ray-Bans, like your glasses.
Wow.
And they look good.
And you could talk to people on it?
Well, first of all, it's a Bluetooth. and you can connect to your Meta assistant, whatever the name of that is, and then you can in your ear get AI. They're not AR, but the form factor of finally bringing in a Ray-Ban to style these things, that's just going to be the way it goes.
That was smart because it doesn't look nerdy and big and stuff.
Looks like a regular Ray-Ban.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some of your patents. How many patents do you have?
Well, interestingly, I was communicating with the founder of job.com.
Wow.
I sold my company, one of the companies I co-founded, to him in 2021, the transaction completed. That's how I got into blockchain, actually. So got into blockchain in about 2016. I was an enterprise SaaS guy, so I didn't really know a lot about crypto then or that opportunity. And started a company that was going to make the resume on the blockchain. You couldn't cheat it, you couldn't fake it, you couldn't do any of that. And then we also were building a career score, so you could have like a FICO score. There's a job, there's a person. This person's an 800 for that job. This person for a different skill set is a 600. Well, you didn't even have to interview somebody. You could just look at their score.
Wow, just their resume would determine that?
Exactly. So that was my first foray into leveraging patents as a real asset. So we got 2 patents approved there at, that was called Talenting. We sold that company to Aaron Stewart, Paul Sloyan, the founders of job.com. Fantastic patent attorney named Keegan Caldwell we worked with, who has been #1 on the Inc. 500 as a lawyer for like 2 years.
Damn.
So you find a good patent attorney, #1. But job.com has gone on to file hundreds of patents, and I think they have over 50 cleared now.
Holy crap.
Which they've used as an asset and a fundraising device. And I think my past life is HR tech, human resources tech. So I see them being a big player because of those patents. And that was a big impetus for why we sold that company, why they were interested, first of all, because we gave them their first 2 patents. They've used that to create dozens of patents there.
Right.
Right now, I think there's about a half dozen patents that I have that I'm a filer on or co-filer on. And they're obviously a good social proof thing, right? From that perspective, you go to investors, whatever, we've got this patent. A lot of patents can be reverse engineered. The algorithm can be changed just slightly, a change in wording. There's patent battles that can be fought for decades to prove if they're viable or not. But these patents that I'm looking at these days really are ahead of its time. So the first patent I got, the only other patent I saw that was like it after we got awarded I saw it was Amazon. So that's not really you want to be in similar parallel with. But in 2017, there was only like 69 or 70 blockchain patents that got awarded.
Damn.
I know, because I get there early. So if you get there early into, let's say, converging tech, you take humanoid robots and AI and blockchain, and you put that into a patent, you might be the first one there.
Interesting.
And that means that if your patent's broad enough, then everybody kind of has to follow suit or be in violation of that. So
wow.
I'm a big proponent for early tech, kind of completing the IP with a patent. And it does surprise me how many people don't even look at it. So it can be expensive, to get through the initial process, it's like $12,000-ish. And then to file the patent completely, you're going to spend $30,000, $40,000.
That much?
There's a lot of investors in the seed stage, pre-seed stage who see that as an asset and would like to be a part of that.
Yeah, it makes sense. If you file like a few and one of them ends up, doing really well, that's a 100x ROI potentially.
Yeah, what I learned is that on the patent front is to file kind of like a patent minefield. So you have a lead patent, and then underneath that patent, you tie other patents into it. The more you put around that are relative to the innovation, and you're protecting your innovation here, is really what's happening. The more that are around that, the harder it is to work around, change the algorithm, and do things like that. So multiple patents along one patent family is important.
Yeah, that makes sense. They always ask on Shark Tank, do you have a patent on this?
And I love Shark Tank, and of course you had Damon John at your event the other day. And that show, yes, they get to brass tacks on that show. And the valuations are so much lower than some out of the gate, no product valuations that a tech startup person would have. That's always interesting too. But the patent is a really valuable tool to kind of increase the value of a company.
Absolutely. Did you see the Mickey Mouse patent expired?
I did. So for Twin Protocol, which I mentioned, which is the company that we started, we look at Sherlock Holmes, for example, which went out of copyright this year.
Damn.
So now creating a twin of Sherlock Holmes, you can do it without paying the licensing fee.
Wow.
Now, there's still so much to do with just like Voltaire or Socrates and like stuff that's been out of patent for a long time. But yes, the original Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse patent is expired now. It's in the public domain. Doesn't mean that all of Mickey Mouse just Steamboat Willie, that very first drawing.
So
But it's open.
that's so cool. So you're able to make a digital version of whoever you want, Socrates, and have that person talk to them and ask them questions.
That's what we're doing at Twin Protocol. We're doing it with thought leaders of all time, but we're also doing it with just like the Sean Mike Kellys. We can create a digital twin of Sean Mike Kelly, import all your podcasts, and now people go to this twin Sean and they just ask questions.
Wow.
That's that product we're releasing actually with. We're really rushing hard for the Super Bowl, which is here in Vegas, which is on fire, by the way. And we have an NFL coach, a football coach that we're creating a twin of for parents and kids who want to be safe.
Wow. That's so brilliant. You can use that in so many ways. And Damon John was even talking, he can only mentor like 20 people because his time.
Yeah.
But with that, it's scalable.
Now with Twin Protocol now you ingest your information. For you've got so much information. You can take all of your podcasts and all that wisdom is now in one twin. You could continue to group that information. You can permission it. I want my platinum, I don't know if you have a membership or something, but my platinum members get to see these, and my public members get to see these, and they pay this much.
Wow.
So not only can you store your information for your customers or for your grandkids, right? If you want to leave a legacy, or if there's a departing employee at a company, we talked about the 800 million. This is probably part of that impact. If a departing employee leaves, they take their info. Well, not anymore. With Twin Protocol, they can train that twin, leave that instance behind, and then still get paid for the knowledge they learned as an engineer or a computer programmer or whatever the case may be.
That's going to revolutionize so many industries.
It's just we're losing knowledge.
Yeah.
It just walks out the door, and even I forget the things that just being here with you is bringing up things for me that I haven't thought about for a while. So with your own digital twin, you can really build your wisdom in blockchain first of all. So nobody else owns it. And then you can then monetize that and release it to the world in ways you want.
So cool. Yeah. Even Elon Musk says that humans have terrible memory.
There's no question. Well, he definitely, I wouldn't say he would know because he's a super smart guy, but I trust his opinion on that. We forget. But now with blockchain, the immutability of blockchain, it can always be there and we can monetize it.
I love that. One of your companies did over 3 billion revenue within 4 years.
Yeah. So I was always trying to be ahead of the game, like we talked about earlier, and in HR tech. And I was the first one in. I went in as an entrepreneur. So, by the way, this is interesting. I'll talk about this in a second. There are various ways to raise money. Sometimes you can raise money and start something from idea, or sometimes you just go into a multi-billion-dollar or hundreds of million-dollar company and you say, "You've got the assets. Let me build it. I want a percentage of the profit."
Wow.
That's what I did here. So there was ECG was the largest workforce management company in the world. It did $1 billion in organic growth and $2.1 billion in acquisitions. And at that point in time, which was about 2007, 2008, it was the largest workforce tech-enabled service. So what that means is companies needed contingent labor or contractors or temps, and they would use this platform to find them with hundreds of staffing companies involved. They'd be able to see visibility, see what's going on. That idea was novel. Like globalism, even though it started in the 80s, hadn't really hold until the 2000s, employing people in other countries. This made that easy.
Wow.
And so it grew really rapidly because the world, first of all, tidal wave of globalism, tidal wave of cheaper labor, tidal wave of using talent that you can't get in the US or anywhere, for example. Ride a tidal wave.
Yeah.
And that one really took advantage of that.
Yeah, you saved business owners tons of money because hiring overseas, $3 to $5 an hour.
Oh, and we iterated on that business, and it's great to create an asset that you can sell. But after I left that company, I went to their competitor, which was a company called Entertainment Partners, and they're the second largest employer in California, employ most of the movie industry, and met the CEO of that company, Mark Goldstein, and the team there. And I said, let's do it again. So we did that.
They didn't sign a non-compete after you sold the first
No,
one?
that first company got broken apart and was in a bunch, the technology was here and the services was here and bought by other companies. So, and I had already moved on. So I think it's smart for entrepreneurs to think out of the box, like, okay, I've got an idea and I need a superpower, for example, payrolling, which is a big deal, like to do it right. And so I went from that where I innovated this model at the first company. I went to the second company, Entertainment Partners, and we did it again. And we built that company. I was able to roll that company out. And we did some really specialized things that we were the best in the world at. And that just became a cash flow engine for us. But the moral to that story is we were early on that tech-enabled service and workforce management. I went to a $700 million company and said, let's do this. And I knew the CTO there. That's how I got in. He introduced me to the founders. I went right to the founders. It was already a 500-person company. And then when I left there, I just went outside the NDA. I went to the next company, said, "Hey, this company did it. You do it too." So those opportunities, if you think out of the box, those opportunities to raise money for companies is also a strong one.
Absolutely. Bill, it's been a pleasure, man. Where can people find you and more about your events and everything you got going on?
Yeah, appreciate the time. You can find me at billinman.com. That's BILLINMAN. And if you've got a great idea or if you're just looking for some advice, I'd love to talk to you.
All right. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you very much. See you again. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you tomorrow.